I just finished watching Superman, and it reminded me why not only is Lex Luthor my favorite villain, but he is the perfect Superman villain. And that's because of his unnatural psychological obsession with Superman and with keeping the bald head look clean. And trust me, that matters because the bald head plays a pivotal part of Lex Luthor's character. It is the physical manifestation of his fragile masculinity and his deep-rooted inferiority complex. It's not a byproduct of him going to jail because he fed a senator a Jolly Rancher.
About that. That's just dumb.
So in today's video, we're going to be looking at the Superman movie and explaining why Lex Luthor is the perfect Superman villain and why Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor didn't work in Batman vs. Superman. Let's get into it, starting with Lex Luthor's psychology. Lex Luthor has deep-seated inferiority complex, he has a savior complex, he has a narcissistic personality, and he thinks he's the good guy. Because in his mind, Lex Luthor has achieved the pinnacle of what humankind can achieve. He's the richest person in the world, he's the smartest person in the world, and he wields so much power that he might as well be George Soros, which in his mind makes him the most powerful person on the planet. That is until Superman arrives. Superman being an alien from Krypton with all these powers, laser beams, super speed, Superman's appearance shattered Lex Luthor's worldview. In his mind, if humanity was the top of the food chain and Lex himself was the apex human, what does that mean when humanity is nothing in comparison to Superman? That means in Lex's mind, Superman is superior to him. He suffers his inferiority complex because he just can't match up to the ideals of Superman, no matter what Lex Luthor does. If you saw the movie, he ripped open the space-time continuum, created a pocket universe, cloned Superman, and yet Superman is still more famous and popping all around the world despite all the things Lex has achieved. And on top of that, there's nothing Lex Luthor can do to stop Superman. So in Lex's mind, he believes that in order to save humanity, you should click the subscribe button and he has to stop Superman. He has to destroy Superman because Superman is a threat to us. If there is even a 1% chance that Superman can go bad, you have to take it as an absolute certainty. That sounds familiar.
Power to wipe out the entire human race, and if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
Side note, it's funny how they took Lex Luthor's characterization and gave it to Batman in BVS. Back to Lex. If you take all that he believes about himself and humanity, you could see how his ego could lead him to believe that he has to save humanity from Superman. Even though Superman has done nothing to threaten us, Lex is not going to stop at anything until he exposes Superman for what he is. And that's why he's the perfect antithesis to Superman. Because even though Superman has all this power, Lex also has power. It's just wielded differently. It's money, it's resources. It's enough to be a challenge to Superman. Lex is the perfect antithesis to him because he's everything that Superman's not. Or maybe I should say Superman is everything that Lex isn't. Because while Lex is egotistical, self-centered, and has an inferiority complex, and bald, we can't forget the baldy, Superman is the total antithesis. He has a great set of hair. Superman believes in the goodness of everybody. That's what made this Superman movie a breath of fresh air. Even though I still think Man of Steel is the better movie, this Superman movie gave us a glimpse into what makes Superman Superman. He believes in the good of people. He's not self-centered. He actually wants to help people. Lex, on the other hand, thinks he wants to help people, but realistically, it's only to feed his own ego. And when you have someone who's self-centered, selfish, bald, and has an inferiority complex, and you take it and compare it to someone who's great set of hair, selfless, and doesn't have any inferiority complex whatsoever. I mean, how could he? He's Superman. You see how it becomes a war of ideals. It's a clash, and that clash works, and it only works because Lex is who he is. Because Lex deep down represents everything flawed with humanity. When I say Lex deep down is everything flawed with humanity, think about it for a second. I know you know somebody in your life who thinks they're a know-it-all, who's egotistical, who has a lot of money and think they can do no wrong and actually believe their ideology is going to save the world, when in reality it's not, it's making things worse. If you can picture that person, that just goes to show you how Lex Luthor's character is human and fully fleshed out. His motivations are deeply human, maybe not the most positive side of humanity, but that's why he's juxtaposed to Superman, who represents everything positive and good in mankind. So it's really a clash of ideology and not necessarily a clash of muscles and fighting, because let's be real, Superman's gonna fold Lex. So that brings us to the root of what makes Lex so compelling to me. It's the fact that Lex doesn't have any grandiose reason to hate Superman. It's very simple and it's almost biblical. Lex is just a hater.
Well, the most diabolical haters this side of the Mississippi.
That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when I say biblical, think about the Bible for a second. Who was the first hater in history? It comes from the story of Cain and Abel. He killed his brother because he was a hater. No other reason. Lex hates Superman because he's a hater. He wants the adulation. The things that Lex Luthor has accomplished in this world, we as humanity should praise Lex for what he can do. But we don't. Instead, we praise Superman because he can fly and he was born with these God-given gifts that Lex had to develop. Lex had to learn and become smart. He may have been a Nepo baby and inherited the money, but he had to use it to grow his empire. He had to learn everything he learned. He had to become who he became out of his own wit. So in his mind, and he's something we as humans aspire to actually go out and make something of yourself and gain power, gain resources, gain knowledge on your own. And Superman just comes in and he's LeBron, he's just gifted. In Lex's mind, he can't even fathom why would they love this alien more than me. I want to talk about what Batman vs. Superman got wrong when it comes to Lex Luthor's character. Because yes, Lex in BVS was smart, he was rich, but his motivations and backstory were completely different. And Lex from Batman vs. Superman kind of reminded me of Mark Zuckerberg. So it's kind of like, it doesn't hit the same like this bald Lex. Because realistically, in Batman vs. Superman, his motivation was his dad used to abuse him. Terrible, I know. And where was Superman to save him?
God is all powerful. He cannot be all good.
Like he said, if God is all powerful, God cannot be all good. His biggest mistake is thinking that Superman is God and a Superman to God. And because of that, he fails to actually resonate with us as the audience because he's fighting a deity. He's fighting God essentially in his mind. But when you look at what Superman the movie did and how they portrayed Lex, and they showed us Lex doesn't think Superman's a god. Lex thinks he's better than Superman. He actually believes Superman is his inferior, even though we know deep down that's a projection and Lex suffers from an inferiority complex. But he thinks he can beat Superman, not because Superman is God, but because he himself, Lex, his ego believes he's better than Superman, as opposed to being a rich billionaire with a lot of money who sways the world on his every whims. This version of Lex Luthor is more compelling as a villain, he's more dynamic, and he has more agents. He actually gets in the mud. The other Lex is he just does shit. One of the comic books that the Superman movie was based off of, and that really gives you big insight into who Lex Luthor is All-Star Superman. When he talks about everything he could have done, he blames Superman for everything Lex is doing now, all the things he did in the movie, like nanobites, giving the engineer powers, ripping open the universe, harnessing a black hole. All of that could be used to better humanity. If Lex wanted to be better than Superman, if his goals were truly altruistic to help humanity, he would just do it, just like in the comics. Superman told him, you could use your powers to cure cancer if you wanted to. And Lex knows he can, but what does that get him? He doesn't want to help for the sake of helping. He wants to help for the praise, the adulation, and he wants the glory of it all. He wants to be regarded as the greatest being ever. Not as a hero, but because he's Lex Luthor, he deserves to have it all because he's achieved it all. And you take that and compare it to Superman. Superman wants to help because it's the right thing to do. In the movie, he went out of his way to make sure nobody was harmed. In the same breath, Lex Luthor was willing to burn down and destroy the entire world as long as it got to kill Superman. Because if he can kill Superman, if he can destroy Superman, the most powerful metahuman in the world, there is nothing to challenge Lex Luthor, and his ego would have been satiated. That's why in the end of the movie he cries, because his mind can't wrap himself around the idea of Superman. Despite everything Lex has done, Superman is still nice, he's still altruistic, and he still wants to help. And Lex can't understand why. Because if Lex had that power, Lex would not be helping the world. He'd be helping Lex Luthor. And it really goes to show you, he is the total antithesis of Superman, and his ideological differences is what makes him the perfect villain for Superman. But guys, that's just my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, peace.